You heat got a heat advisory today in Michigan.
Really?
Hello.
It was 90 degrees in Asheville, Brian.
Yeah.
Hot.
It's definitely hot.
Hot
I don't like
stuff.
the sound of that. Most importantly, Nate Burks, I see you you got that SEC jersey behind you. I like it. Did you see that? You see that?
Mhm.
See that?
Not officially yet, but
That's he's
It's
pulling
not-
for the SEC now. Have you seen that?
not too.
If you can't beat them, join them, baby.
Right.
It tastes a little like vinegar in my mouth, but I'm working on it.
You got 3 years to get over it. I'm with you. It would taste that way to me too. I hear you, buddy. All right. Anybody that's not talking can veil. Anybody that wants to talk can unveil. And Casey, we've got
You and me
So
today,
really-
buddy.
we have some really important stuff to hammer on today.
Yes, we do.
So
Let's talk about it.
how many times do you think we've said over the past 6 months, like, now is the time? It's almost like every time we come out of a conference, we say, that was the best conference I've ever had. It's because now is more of a time than even last week when we said now is the time, because we keep getting all this new information that's like, holy cow, what a freaking great time to be in the insurance business. And more importantly, to be with Quility and Symmetry and
Yep.
corporate, and man, there's good
And
stuff
we are
going on.
seeing the craziest. This is the craziest time I've can remember in 20 years of being in the insurance business.
Yeah, and Pope says
Um,
he's never seen anything like it. in
Yeah, and
terms
he's
of-
been it for almost twice as long as us, right?
Yeah.
And he's also sold a company for $45 million at the age of 38. And he's still like, this is nothing compared to what we're going through right now.
Right. Yeah.
That's pretty big. Guys, it is, Brandon's right. Time is now, like never before, to invest, to capitalize on what's going on. And I think we're just seeing, we're seeing a very large industry, multi-trillion-dollar industry. And that doesn't necessarily just mean the life space, obviously, but life represents a very big portion. And we're seeing, 2 years ago, we saw the massive consolidation that happened, where pretty much all of the IMOs out there, with the exception of us in our space, kind of took the cash. They cashed out, which also means they took their foot completely off the gas when it comes to building actual value to an agent or to a client. And then you have us, on the other hand, with all of you guys deciding that we were actually going to double down. And we were going to invest heavily in the future of the agent and the client. And as Mark put it last week, we've kind of been a little bit in stealth mode, but over the last 2 years we have, because we've been building a lot of it. And, if we have shared it, it's really been internally with you guys. But as you guys can tell, if you're on social media, we're starting to kind of come out of stealth mode, and we're starting to kind of put those objects out there in front of people. And it has created a severe crack in the industry, with the competitors that have taken their foot off the gas. And so we are kind of in this massive transitional phase in the industry, along with the massive transformational journey we're on as a company together. So, I mean, you marry those two things together, and this is going to be an extremely rewarding couple of years that we all are kind of running this thing together. So it's just kind of hang on tight mode is the message Brandon and I wanted to share with you guys today for a couple minutes. And what does that look like, Brandon? What would you be doing right now to capitalize on this if you're listening on the call?
Yeah, I think it's stretching, right? It's like, how do you stretch yourself? How do you kind of lean into the discomfort of growth, which we kind of talked about in change. And we talked a lot about that last week, but it's so important to kind of get out of your comfort zone a little bit right now. As Danny Young always says, the only thing belongs in your comfort zone is your pillow. And ain't nobody needing a pillow right now, because it's go time. And I think really what that means is, like, what is the difference for you, Casey, when you What was the difference for you when you learned how to go from being a $2,500 a week to a $7,500 a week, or 5,000 first and 7,500, and then
Yeah.
you got pretty good to where you could become a 7,500 to a $10,000 a week producer? First off, what had to change for you to get there?
Yeah.
You got to get better.
Mhm.
You got to buy more resources. You got to put in more activity.
Yep.
Right. We're always getting better as long as we're practicing and we're getting better. Right.
Yep.
Always moving forward. And so specifically to me, and I know this is a builder's call, so I guess really what I'm saying is for you guys to be talking to your producers this way, it's how do we increase activity, increase resources to increase result? And then when we do that, what is the value of actually doing that? Right. Like
Yep.
if I set, okay, we've got September coming up. Next week is probably the first week of September production wise. I think could be the following
Yep.
week. It's probably this week or next week rather. I would be rallying the troops, and I would say, we're going for record breakers, and it's a 4-week turn-in. And so what I would even do if I'm a director, an AO, or just a builder, is I would kind of rally my base shop or my team, and I would say anybody that breaks a personal production record and submits going to get XYZ. It could be a lead credit, could be a whatever. There's already so many things that they're fighting for, from double ears for the month of September. We got new products coming out. That's going to be great. I don't want to overload people. I want to get people back to just focused on how do I get better, and how do we do that? Well, we got leads galore about to start popping. We've uncovered some things over the past few days that are crazy. We're rolling out DigiX leads next week as well. So SBLI is going to be coming in, or Quility Term, as I'd much rather us be calling it. Quility Term is going to be rolling out, if not next week, then the following. So there's a lot of things that you could be focused on, none more important than making more dials, I guess, buying more leads, making more dials, connecting with people, helping more families, having a bigger impact. Because what happens, Casey, when you go from 5,000 a week producer to $10,000 a week producer, the money's fantastic. Obviously, we know that, but it's kind of setting this new standard for yourself that it's hard to kind of go back to the old way. And then it just becomes natural. One of the biggest value props I think that we have, and I know you're going to get into this in a minute, is how do you explain the value props of Quility to somebody on the outside? I think to me, biggest value prop that we have that nobody else sells is time. Money's important to it, but what you get from having your life, and the reason we can do that is because we have leads that really you only have to buy 10 or 20 of them. DigiX leads are going to be different. You may have to make more calls on those, but you have leads that you really only have to spend 10 hours a week, 5 hours a week calling to really book yourself up to have success. Everybody else we're hearing in the industry out there, man, they're spending $1,500, $2,000 a week on crap. They're spending 40 to 50 hours a week dialing to try to find 10 people to sell a policy to. You ain't gonna have a life doing that. You ain't gonna go on a vacation doing that. You're not gonna be able to spend time with your families doing that. And to me, man, that is the biggest value prop that we have, is when you put everything into a system that spits out a result, you get your life back.
Yep. That's it. So the first thing we want to kind of hit is timing, and how do you capitalize on timing right now? And the main thing we would be doing if we were in y'all's shoes, and we are, because we're doing this behind the scenes, is investing. We're investing in different things, although similar things in some ways, like the Slingshot program. Clearly that's a little bit of a shared investment. But if I were you guys, I would be thinking about the extra capital that I have right now, and how for the month of September could I actually sweeten the pot even more than Slingshot. And maybe it's like Brandon said, where you come up with a break your own record contest, or maybe if you don't have the data and the ability right now to kind of do that on a mass scale, maybe it's just you do run a contest, calling all equity partners, calling all larger agencies, pull together, think about what you guys can do in September to engage as many agents as possible. You know, because if we run a contest from the company and we say we're going to do the top 5 or 10, it's like, well, that's the top 5 or 10 out of 4,000 pretty active agents. That's not a lot of engagement. But if you guys splinter off and start figuring out how to sweeten the pot, and if I were going to make those investments, it would probably be lower down too. Kind of jump on that slingshot bonus, add a lead credit to it. If you hit this and this, we'll give you, you know, start thinking about how you can actually invest in retention, invest in more agents, getting more leads, and making more phone calls and setting more appointments like Brandon is saying. So that's kind of part one. And again, you know, give you guys the creativity and autonomy to take the extra capital that you have and figure out the best place to invest it. It may be that you want to take some of that and invest in more ads, and then some of that and figure out how to pull together into a contest. But we just can't get the level of engagement that all of you guys as leaders can get. And I know so many of you guys are already really good at running your own contests, running your own trip contest, whatever it may be, but just now's the time to do it. If you've got away from that, or you don't have anything running for September, October to kind of jump on to what we already have going, let's do it.
Yep.
And then the second part of the call, Brandon, is really, you know, because there is a little bit of a mass exodus away from the industry, and we believe that the louder we get with our value props, the less stealth mode, you know, we are in, which you guys are we're all going to see that over the next 3 to 6 months. There's going to be a massive PR. We have a PR firm that we've engaged that is world-class. And so there's a certain level of validation that's going to come around the Quility platform in the news, in the media. We're going to start rolling out Quigley. We're all getting ready to experience a heavy level of validation, and it's going to be pointing all towards us. So how do we position ourselves together? And that's the key word, together. It's got to be a unified message. We've got to get on point with our value props. And so here's what we think. Brandon, I've been putting a lot of thought into this. Here's what we would be focused on. First of all, we'd be focused on keeping it classy. You know, like, let's remember who we are. We don't need to talk bad about competitors. We never have done that. We let them do that, and that attracts a certain kind of person. We don't have to get in the mud. We just have to show ourselves a little bit better. We have to show what we're actually doing with these value props. And again, marketing is working on tons of assets right now to give us all a lot more tools to do that. And we have some resources for you if you didn't know that Brandon can share in a second. But we need to unify together. We need to be on brand. We need to clearly educate ourselves. Everyone on this call needs to be educating themselves on the value props for each of our paths. Because I think if I were out there recruiting right now, I would be using the choose your path model to get people in the funnel. You know, I would be using the choose your path model and say, let me explain the paths and educate you on the various paths here, and then you get to choose. That could be Quility wholesale, that could be Symmetry franchise model, or that could be the producer's path. It's really 2 paths. You know, it's kind of like wholesale or franchise. What we're about to see, I think, is we're about to see a lot of people being deprogrammed by this idea that high contract actually is the key to anything. We're already starting to see so many people go, wow, we've just had the wool pulled over our eyes so much, because we may be making money in one pocket, but it's going right back out the other in the form of terrible quality and terrible quality leads.
It sounds so familiar to us, doesn't it?
It's where we came from, dude. It's like money in one pocket, money back out the other. And so, you know, I think you guys are going to see a lot of that traffic. And the way I think you can kind of position yourselves to get that traffic to you is to be in the Quility seat. You know, say, I can help guide you one way or the other, because remember, you guys get bird dog bonuses on Quility wholesale as well. So if we do have people coming to us that are on 120 and they just can't for some reason see themselves kind of in the franchise model, which I do think that when they see the video explainers that we're coming out with mid-September, mid to late September, it's going to educate people very clearly why people on like 100% contract or more in our company don't even care what contract they're on. You don't hear Edward going around trying to lobby for more contract, because it's not about contract level, because you're out of the field, right? 5 points is 5 points. If I'm on a 145 and I have people on a 140, it's 5 points. If I'm on a 120 and I have people on a 115, it's 5 points. If I'm on an 80 and I got people on a 75, it's 5 points. We're not worried about contract. People are starting to wake up to this idea that contract doesn't mean net profit in my bank account. And it certainly doesn't mean less time for me. It probably means a lot more time, because if it's all about contract, then it can't be about support. It can't be about what you can actually do to save me time. So it's us understanding our value props in each lane. How do we articulate what wholesale is and who it's for? How do we articulate very clearly what the franchise model, the flagship model that we have here, is for? And where I would focus on with any of this stuff, once I get them into my funnel with the choose your path kind of choose your path assets, is I would just focus, Brandon, very simply on the result they're after. That's the beauty of an interview and talking to people, that they're clearly wanting to talk to you for a reason. It's because they're missing something.
Yeah.
And so I want to get, if I'm interviewing you, Brandon, I want to get you to a place where you're kind of, and it's not very hard to do this, but to get you to basically verbalize, yeah, I think that time and money is what I'm after in the end of the destination, is that if you can show me a way to get free of trading time for money, to get free of having to go in the field to produce my income, to give me and my family the security and the safety of a passive income, while not killing yourself for more than 50 hours a week to do it, then I can show you so many people getting that in our model. Focus on the result. If you don't know how to explain the value prop and do the math for people to show people that on a 70% starting contract here, you can actually make money, more money than on a 100% contract paying twice the lead cost, or paying the same lead cost for a lead that's half the quality.
Yeah.
That's where the math is.
What's worse is paying 3 times, or I guess paying 3 times the amount of your weekly lead investment for 10% of the quality, meaning that it's a double whammy, because you're having to put in so much more time. You may as well be going door to door prospecting. Like, it's not that much different. If I spent 40 hours a week walking around a neighborhood, knocking on doors, I could probably find 5 apps. But who the hell wants to do that?
Exactly.
You know?
That's it. So it's leading in, I think, with choose your path. And I'm not saying get away from leaning into the value props, that like the 20 value props that we went over, and you guys have seen some of the digital assets coming out for that. But you know, I do think that lip of the funnel, kind of letting people choose and just putting yourself in a position to kind of be their guide, is a really unique spot, because it's kind of like, I'm not really pushing you one way or the other, Brandon. I just want to let you know what Quility has to offer. And it's really unique because we have 3 dedicated paths, because it's hard to be a one size fits all thing for a company. So we've designed 3 paths that are designed to get you different results.
Yeah.
And then it allows me to get in with them and figure out what they're actually driving for and focus on the destination. And I will tell you, 9 times out of 10, if you do that the right way, they will start veering towards the franchise model, towards field. But again, because you guys get a bird dog bonus, it doesn't really matter. If they go to wholesale, you're getting bonused on it. It won't be as much, right? But at least you have the opportunity to capture this.
And to be clear, when we're saying kind of franchise model, it really is not just Symmetry. It's the old Assure model as well, because the levels are being built in, the lead cost is being built in. So it's also like, somebody asked the question, if I find somebody that's better suited for corporate or inside sales, it's kind of like seeing it as inside sales, but it's really just what type of client do you want to work with? What type of products are you comfortable selling? If I'm talking to, you know, I shouldn't use insurance company names, but insurance agents that have been around for a while, they're accustomed to selling a little more complex products, then not having to worry about booking appointments. QMS could be a perfect fit for them because they can
Yeah.
still move up the
Yeah.
chain,
Exactly.
just like agents on the Symmetry side can.
Yep.
So I think the bottom line is, what are you doing to go out and help people that already have a license that need your help? Because they're either broke on money or they're broke on time, and many of them are broke on both. And so how are you going out and having those conversations? And I think we can talk about that through the coming weeks and really improve our messaging so that we can clearly articulate, as Casey's saying, what the value props are. But it really just starts with, what pond am I fishing out of?
Yep.
Who am I going after currently? We've been talking for a little while about going after licensed agents. I'm not going to get on here and start naming names of insurance companies that you should target, because I don't even like using that kind of terminology. We're targeting people. Just know that we're doing a lot of stuff as much as we can behind the scenes to create licensed agent recruiting leads. Last I heard from Joe this morning was this week we're up to 100 a day. It's pretty awesome. That's only going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to get better at it as well. But how many conversations are you having with people out there that maybe they're on a lower contract, maybe they're on a higher contract? The end result is still the same. They're broke on something, or they wouldn't want to be talking to you. So how do you have those conversations? And so, you want me to share my screen, Casey, just to kind of look at the assets real quick?
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's do that.
All
Just want to make sure everyone knows where you can get these digital assets that marketing is lobbing up for you guys, which, guys, this is a massive value prop in itself, but it should be part of any system. It should be part of any support system, especially like ours, where it is a little more franchise-like, where we actually give you all the tools so that you don't have to do it yourself. But this keeps us on brand. Where is this HQ under the marketing?
You're in HQ under resources. First, you go to resources over here. Pop. You got a marketing right here. Pop.
Yep.
It takes me right to here. And these are all of the assets that you can use, from simple things like email signatures for your emails. For you got logos right here, so that you're using an on-brand logo. Understanding the core values. You got business cards, you got social media cards, you've got one of my favorites, which we're going to blow this one up so it's much easier and more prevalent, but all of the agent videos that we've been sharing over the past, call it, month, you can click on that and boom, you can save and download all of these to share them directly on any social media platform you have. If you want to text it to your more market, if you want to text it to your clients, which, by the way, if you're not asking 100% of the clients that you're sitting with every single day, every single week, if they'd be interested in opportunity, it is the lowest hanging fruit. And you are stepping over, large amounts of people that you can make a huge impact in their lives with. So, and I know there's a lot of people on here and they don't know really how, or they think they don't know how to have conversations. And I would say, if you can sell an insurance policy, it's easier to sell an opportunity. It's easier to sell a career. It's easier to sell a job. Don't try to make it overly scripted. Just ask somebody. Just ask somebody and tell them, hey, Casey, man, by the way, you happen to know anybody that wants to make an extra $1,000 a month part-time, or even $100,000 a year full-time? We got people making a lot more than that. We're just covered up and need some help. Anybody that you can think of? I mean, you'll be surprised at how many people pop up. And then spend some time with your manager on, what does my follow through and follow up system look like? I'm going to send a video. I'm going to send these specific videos. I'm going to send a link to a website. I'm going to send whatever that looks like for you. You have to kind of design that and create that yourself, not alone. Talk to your manager about how, what is the most effective way of doing it. And if you look up line, we always say this, if you look up line and your direct manager is not recruiting a lot, then it's an agency, it's an organization. Go to find the best person in that group that can help you. So I love just looking at kind of these videos, and there'll be more of these that we're adding every single day. But I would be sharing this stuff on social. I would be sharing it with with anybody that I can share it with.
And we are in the process, guys, of bringing in a really kind of bolstering up our social media game. And it will involve bringing in a high level social media expert. I don't know what you would call that type of person. Not necessarily an influencer, but someone that gets that very well. And I think we have a couple really good interviews in the pipe right now, Joe, but it's
Like a
not only to
Kardashian?
equip corporate with it, but it's to also empower you guys and teach everyone, because social media is clearly here to stay. And we need to do our best at teaching everyone, self included, how to be better at social media. And so we got some support coming on the way. Joe, did you have any comments on any of this as far as the importance of staying on brand right now, or anything else in the mix you're excited about? What's up, buddy?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks, Casey. I appreciate it. I think, as you mentioned, just staying on brand and brand congruency is so incredibly important, because when we start having 5, 10, 100, 200, 300 folks that are going out and kind of representing the brand in their own way, it ultimately impacts the trust of the brand out in the marketplace. So as Brandon kind of mentioned and showed you earlier, we've got a lot of assets out there that you can leverage. Additionally, I would recommend folks sharing and pulling in the assets that we're currently putting out on social media. In addition to that, if there are areas and things that you would like to see and would help you, you can actually submit a request in HQ for us and go straight into the marketing department. We can look at creating new one sheets for you, or new assets that will help you in the field. We talked about that at the last AOA, and somebody in the class actually even requested a post-sale sheet that kind of reminds folks on the 5 R's and all of the value props after the initial sale. And so that's actually in the queue right now, and will be done here in a few days, that we'll be able to share out with everybody.
Awesome.
But again, brand congruency is so important. And it is, all ships rise with the tide. And so if we're all on brand and marching in the same direction and the same cadence, it's going to help everybody.
Yep. Good stuff, man. Also, the cool part about where we are right now as a company is we just, getting awesome texts from people about how awesome the altitude events have been, and Kevin's prosperity tour and everything. And we're actually going to be bringing in hopefully some help for everyone around event management too, and really beefing that component up, because it's a risk department as well for you guys, especially you top big guys that are putting on these altitude events. There's risk involved in these large events because they're extremely expensive, but there's also the brand aspect, the messaging aspect, and so we're going to try to get some help in the door for that for everyone. Take as much off your plate as we can on that. But I would just also say, from a leadership team standpoint, now's the time to capitalize from a relationship standpoint, and kind of, we're stronger together type conversation, I think, to be having with your teams. Like, this is not the time. Let's if there are relational issues in the team that can be sorted out and straightened out, do it for the sake of the team, for the sake of your business. We're all more attractive together in this thing. And I mean, we already have an amazing culture, an amazing group of friends and family, and that's attractive to people out there. And so if there are things that we can do from a relationship standpoint that will make us stronger and that will make us more attractive, we should be doing that right now, right? Just capitalize on this time. Understand how important it is. Brandon, I think that's it. I think that's what we wanted to hit today, right?
Good Lord.
Ivy,
1 o'clock.
Hey, see, I wanted just to add real quick, as I've been on a lot of the recruiting calls the past couple of weeks, kind of talking to a few teams that are interested in looking at a new opportunity from outside of Quility. And I will tell you guys two important things to jot down. One, just because somebody's on a high contract, don't assume that they're not willing to understand the opportunity that we have at field sales, and that the move is just to send them to wholesale. In the last week, 3 out of 3 conversations started out with my team wouldn't fit in field sales because they're all on 110, 120, 130s. And by the end of the conversation, every single person on the call wanted to talk more about field sales.
Yeah.
I caught myself feeling like the competition knows what we have to offer. The competition understands the field sales model. After spending
Franchise.
20, 30 minutes explaining to them about time and money and what the field sales really allows you to do, it allows you to get out of the field in 6 to 12 months, some longer, some shorter, and truly start dedicating your time in the week to developing new leaders and not being a personal producer for the rest of your life. And it just took me slowing down to explain that to a lot of these individuals to understand that the field sales is the model that they're looking for. And secondly, anybody that feels like we're coming at them or are doing a comparison of us versus them, are trying to show that our model's better than your model, it's not going to work. Imagine having somebody tell you that what you've been doing for the last 1 to 2, 3 years of your life is not right, or was dumb, or is a broken model.
Yep.
It doesn't feel good. It doesn't put you in the right place to have an honest conversation and hear what's being spoken to you. So what we do is we just slow down and explain the value proposition that Brandon and Casey and Pope have developed and what field sales does. And ultimately what it ends up doing is it allows you to get out of the field and it allows you to have a life where you dedicate your time and energy on having impact and lifting others and getting
Yep.
people where they want to be with time and money balance. So
That's it.
I just want to say that, Casey, that's come
Yeah,
out
man.
over
That's
and over
it.
on these conversations.
That's it. You said it. And that's why we were talking about the beauty of the choose your path, understanding everyone educating themselves very clearly on the choose your path model, and then how to describe each path and how to do the math in each path, how to speak to who's really a good fit for this channel, who's really a good fit for this one. And, I do think that the terminology is, for us leaders and really for all of marketing is it's not the field model. It's the, we're still working on the actual, owner's model or franchise model, because I think that better describes the flagship model of Symmetry. But I agree with Spivey. It's like, we don't have to compare ourselves to anyone because we can compare ourselves to ourselves. We have the only thing in this industry that allows you to choose paths. So when we're comparing this to people, we're able to do that within the confines of our company. So good stuff.
Really good point. I know it's getting close to football season, and you think of the best teams and the best recruiters that are at the top every year for the last decade or 5 years or more, and it's like none of them negatively recruit. It's all about what my program does.
Yep.
Here's how we do things here. I can't speak to where you're coming from because I haven't been there. And
Yep.
I'll just to add to what Todd is saying, like, if you keep it classy, you will look so different than anybody else out there.
Yeah.
And that is a huge differentiator for you.
Yep.
So
That's right.
bite your tongue, learn how to sell what we have, not downgrade what others don't.
Yep. Well said, man.
All right.
Let's do this. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, man.
Third.